Hey all, I want to show you my new board, and this is not my Quad Cortex or any of my digital modelers. This is, um, mostly analog with a little bit of digital stuff in there, but really actually mostly analog. And the reason I put this board together is I want to be able to use this at work. Um, so where I work, I'm not allowed to bring in any sort of um, technology that has wireless, Bluetooth, or has read-writable memory like memory sticks. The security in where I am basically doesn't allow that in my office. But I'm allowed to bring in analog and tube bass equipment. So I can bring in my electric guitar and my tube amp, 1950s technology, and this stuff. And so since I couldn't bring in my entire modeler, this is what I could do. And, I put this together out of bits and pieces I've collected over the years. And so let me give you a little bit of a rundown of the signal chain here. So my guitar goes first into the PolyTune here, which is, a tuner. And, you need that sort of thing. It's a true buffer here. And then immediately from the PolyTune, it goes into a drop pedal, which allows me to go through various, tones. I can go down an entire octave up here into a compressor, into my favorite envelope filter. This is like a touch wah, which is called a Q-Tron Plus. This thing is great. And it's on John Mayer's board. And then this guy right here. This right here is a Chase Bliss Automatone Preamp Mark II. And this thing is pretty incredible. I just bought this used on Facebook Marketplace for a steal. And I think these things are just going to get more expensive because they're no longer made. There's some regulations in the EU that preclude using cadmium sulfide. So some of the optical components in there are not allowed to be manufactured. So they just said, heck with it, and stop manufacturing. But what's kind of cool about this guy, and I'll show it to you a little bit later, is that it recognizes its sliders, and it has flying sliders. And this thing can basically do any sort of boost, fuzz. It has a fuzz circuit, germanium or silicon diodes. You can do high Q sweeps. So you can attach an expression pedal to this thing and sweep any or all the parameters so that you can turn this thing into a wah pedal. After that, I have a Huge Aqua-Puss, which is basically an analog delay. So I can set up some slapback. And then, of course, a Strymon Flint. And this thing is amazing. It's probably one of the best tremolo reverbs that you can get even still. And this thing's like 10, 11, 12 years old. And then this GE7 here, which is the end of the signal chain. I can sit there and shape it to whatever amp I want to plug in. So this board, is fairly small, and I can take it wherever I want and plug it into an analog amplifier. And so basically, this is my little analog system. So at work, I have a Tone King Imperial Mark II, a very nice little amp sitting in there, and it has tremolo and reverb. But actually, the Strymon has a much better reverb than even that has. So if you look over here, I have the Tone King model through Neural DSP, and this is actually a pretty faithful reproduction of the amp. You get a similar feel as you would in the room, but there's nothing really like playing through the amp. And so, here's the dry signal. If you go through here, I've taken out all the compression and overdrives, set everything to noon, a little bit of volume so that it doesn't break up, no tremolo and no reverb. Mono signal, have it set in this attenuation right here. It uses an Iron Man. This really doesn't do much except you can set up different rhythm chains. I won't go into detail about this. You can look online. High frequency comp. This is mic'd up with a ribbon mic and a dynamic 57, which is a Shure SM57. Flat and turned off chorus, delay, and reverb. So this is basically, turned off the noise gate. So this is basically just, you know, a stock Tone King here. A little bit of breakup. I have the tone all the way open on my guitar. I'm on position 4, which is neck middle on a Strat. I'll dial it back down a bit to, you know, around 7. You know, I got the tuner pretty much in tune. And then here's the drop tuner, and I'll show you this in context a little bit later, but you can go down a semitone. And once you crank up the volume, then you're only hearing basically the drop tune. But if you play lightly, you'll hear the actual strings, and it kind of messes with your brain. It's just, ugh, I don't get it. Actually, let me turn off this thing right here, so I don't get the dry signal here. If I all right, so let me turn that. Oh, you can go down full octave, and then you can do an octave plus dry, so it doubles it. Then you can basically make this turn it on only when you press the button. Right, compressor. These things are amazing. So this is a Keeley Compressor, and I got this used for steel. You can basically turn it on, and you can blend between, you know, 50% dry and compressed, and then you have your sustain, so you can really squish it. Here's the makeup gain here, and here's the tone knob, which, you know, higher sharps, higher frequencies, lower frequencies, you know, just basically a tone knob. And then you can set it up for a single coil and humbucker. So if I strum a chord and then hit this compressor on, so let me turn on the sustain, and you'll hear it brings up the noise floor, which is, you know, what a compressor does. But if I strike the strings, you'll hear it kind of compressed. I'm strumming lightly, and I'm going to strum really hard. So as you know, a compressor kind of takes the lows and brings them up, and takes the hot, you know, the loud, and squishes it down, so it kind of evens everything out. Gets rid of the attack. But it allows sustain to go on forever. Even if you're clean. It's a little bit better if you dial that back. And there's a lot of YouTube videos on what compression does and good ways to use it. And if you do it, it doesn't really screw up too badly with your dynamics, but it does kind of boost things a little bit and, you know, broadens things up. It's kind of hard to describe. You'll have to just play it. On, off. So a little bit of compression is nice. Next thing is the Q-Tron envelope filter. So one of my favorite effects, it's really nice, and no modeler can do what a Q-Tron does yet. Put a little compression into it. You can boost it. You can turn the boost off. And I won't go into a tutorial of how an envelope filter like this works. Plenty of videos on that, but it's a very cool effect. So you can get the funky stuff, Grateful Dead stuff, I don't know about you, but every time I play a touch wah, my lips start moving to make the vowel sounds. It's kind of funny. Anyways, turn that guy off. Next step is the preamp right here. So I'll keep a little bit of compression on it. Then you can turn it on. Has a little bit of a gain, but I have it set up in a half cock, and then so that's the kind of a crybaby, and you can tune this thing up to sound just like a crybaby because you can set its mid ranges to wherever you want and then sweep over it. But in general, turn the Q to normal, turn on the mids to do pre, and then set germanium. Clean it up, and you can make it kind of a transparent boost. Gain it up a bit. And there are videos online where people have basically made this thing sound like a Klon, made it sound like a tube screamer. Basically, this thing can replace, the katana, which is a nice little clean boost. Of course, there's lots of things on this circuit that can do it. If I turn down the compression right here, all the way, and then turn the blend knob up all the way, and then bring this up. This right here is essentially a clean boost. Hit the amp a little bit harder. Bring that back to here. You can change your mids to be post circuit here, the mids. Tighten up the filter or Q. You can select germanium. So the germanium gets you the what is it? The Klon. So set it basically. And then what's really cool about this is you can actually turn on a fuzz face. So here's a fuzz. Roll it back a bit. So it cleans up nicely. So this is a low volume here. A little bit of edge of break up here. But then, you know, roll up the volume a bit and you get the fuzz face. Roll it back and then dig in. Very cool. I like that a lot. Okay, enough of that. Next is the Way Huge. This is just basically a delay pedal. So if you turn that on, I have it set up, you know, with a little bit of delay, single note delay, lightly blended, and very quick decay. So it's basically just like a single note slapback. You can hear that. And you can make it wait longer. Or very short, where you just basically barely hear it. You can too many. Then you can blend it so it becomes more prominent. Now it's a full signal. Bring that back quite a bit here. Just a little bit of slap back. A little bit too many. There you go. Right. Keep that on there. So, you know. Then here's the Strymon here. Here's a tremolo, harmonic. I love the harmonic. Then here's the reverb. You can hear that this basically is a spring reverb. You can turn that all the way up. You can make it just go on forever. That little noise you heard is actually my cell phone kind of bleeding through the circuit somewhere. You can switch to plate. 80s plate. that on. A little bit of light drive. Tremolo. What's cool about the compressors, you can just keep it going. And it just goes, and it goes, and it goes. Finally, at the end of the chain, have the equalizer here. Make it a mid boost to cut through the mix. Boost. The drop adds a little bit of latency, probably about, say, 20 milliseconds maybe. I can measure it, so it's noticeable. But you know, for laying down a little bit of bass or knocking down half a step real quick, it's pretty good. This is E flat tuning, so I can do like Hendrix and other stuff pretty easily. If I bring up the volume a bit, then I can't hear the double. Alright, so that's my new pedal board. There's a few things I have to figure out, like I'm waiting for a new cable to show up, so this won't be sticking out the end here. This goes from the Q-Tron up here to the preamp. You know, it's very, very cool. This thing is only going to appreciate, so I'm going to keep it very safe. I have the box and everything like that. Everything else, you know, I've had for a while. You know, and this thing can, you know, basically replace my Wampler Toneless, which Kaio has one of these. These are great. This is basically a Klon right here. I also have a Boss Blues driver that I can use if I want. This right here is a JHS Bonsai, which is every type of tube screamer you can get. You can switch it around on this little knob here. Then I have this guy right here, which I can't bring. Well, actually I can. This is a Super Ego. It has a whole bunch of different cool effects to it, and you can put an expression pedal, and it has a freeze pedal. But, you know, it's just overkill. I kind of want to simplify this because it gets overwhelming. And this can do everything I really need. It doesn't have a chorus. This has a chorus, but, you know, I might get a little chorus pedal and put it in there. The EQ is great because, you know, if the amp is acting up or I've shaped the tone here and I can't make it up on these different knobs here, this final one right here can bring back things that this might squish out. And then I got this little guy here. Basically it's a preamp that can make high headroom amps sound kind of like a Dumble. So, you know, it's a steel string singer. This thing I don't really use. I probably will sell it because I got really good amps. And with things like the Quad Cortex, you can clone a Dumble. There's clones of actual Dumbles on these things. So anyways, that's my weekly video. You know, I've been doing a lot of work on going out and playing live. And so all that's been basically getting my song vocabulary up. I've taken a bit of hit on my technique and scales and soloing and stuff like that. So I'm going to get back in on that, and that's going to be useful to bring this in and this board in to work and spend my lunch hours scaring off my office mates. They should be out anyways. Anyways, have a good evening.